Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Times exclusive on Times Television, TTV, but we're also on Times Radio. My name is Wanda Msisia and the program is brought to you courtesy of Rainbow Paints.
Wow, I think K-Peach looks amazing on that wall.
The electric blue cuts it for me.
Come on, look at the tango, candy pink, bent orange, ochre sweet lime.
Do you like what you see? You can dream it and live it. Download your Rainbow app today and begin the magic of transforming your home into a fabulous space. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Welcome back. I now have the pleasure of introducing to you who is our guest in today's edition of the program. Our guest, I'm saying our guests because we're going to have two in today's edition of the program. The first one is Daliso Japonda.
Good to be back.
We were here last week, but it's a continuation from where we stopped.
Yes.
But joining us later in the program will be Imran Yusuf, who is also in Malawi, together with Daliso. Daliso, you were here last week. We spoke about many things, including the show that was held on Sunday. Now, I want us to start from the show that was held on Sunday. What is your reaction, or what is your comment on the show that happened last Sunday?
I've done around 6 or 7 shows in Malawi before this one.
Yes.
And this show on Sunday was the biggest, craziest show we've ever done. It was absolutely amazing. The musical acts were Mzete and McLuther. They were brilliant, warmed up the crowd. Then Imran Yusuf, who you'll speak to later, did a great job his first time in Malawi. And then I went on for like 90 minutes.
Yes.
It was just a great show. Amaryllis Hotel made me feel welcome. The production was next level. I was really happy because I felt like this was for Malawi. This was the best production I've seen in Malawi. So it was very good.
All right. So I've seen you interacting with the live audience.
Yes.
What's the thinking behind that interaction?
I always will, when it's a live show, interact with the audience so people are getting something special. Because I have DVDs, I'm on Netflix, people can watch me from their home. Why are you coming to watch me live? It's got to be better. There's got to be something unique. And that's why there's always something extra.
Don't you think that the audience sometimes are like, wow, maybe he's going to put me on the spot? You're commenting about the Mall of Africa with just having one shop. You're commenting about this woman wearing a blue hat.
Well, this woman wearing a blue hat who actually owns the baker,
yes,
she loved being part of the show, right? You make fun of it, but they love being part of the show. The owner of Mall of Africa, he was there and he was laughing. So this is the thing, is that I make fun of you, but I make fun of you the way your best man would make fun of you on your wedding. It's not mean-spirited, it's just friendly, so everyone enjoys it.
How do you get to pick, to say, I'm going to pick that one? Because, look, everyone is there and you're moving around with the roving microphone and you don't know who's going to be picked next. How do you get to pick?
You can tell body language. Some people are shy, so I'll leave them alone. People who are dressed in a boisterous way and seem open to it are the ones I will go to. And 8 out of 10 times, I'm right. And if it's someone who's uncomfortable, I'll just move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also did, as usual, you did some jokes about your dad.
Yes.
And somebody reminded you about another joke about the spy, and your dad was there.
Yes, so this is an interesting thing. My father, early on, he had a hard time with my comedy, but now, especially when he's in opposition, he's like, tell all the jokes. Tell all the jokes you want. So, but I think it's people, the whole of Malawi, in addition to my father, have learned that humor is just play, right? It's not serious. If I talk about the government, I'm not starting a revolution. If I talk about my father, I'm not insulting him. If I talk about someone at the front, it's just play. And so now that he has accepted that, he loves it. In fact, he carries my show on his iPad and makes people watch my shows. So it's wonderful.
All right. Now, the show ended when people were asking for more.
Yes.
I don't know what are the plans. Are you going to be coming recently?
Oh, I'll be back. I'll be back
and,
in December. We're finalizing the dates with these guys at Amaryllis and also the BICC guys. And I'll be back at some point in December. There'll be an official announcement in a few weeks. But I'll be back before the end of the year with more comedians.
When we spoke last time, I know you can speak Chichewa, but a lot of people asked me to say, why didn't you ask him whether he can speak a little bit of Chichewa just to get by?
So
how
when
good
I was
or
born,
how bad was
no.
your
So
Chichewa?
when I was born, my father was in exile.
Yeah.
So I was born in Zambia, stayed there 2 years, and then went to Kenya, Somalia. I was always on the move.
Yeah.
Each country had a different language. So I speak little bits of many languages, but the constant was English. So that's why. A lot of the diaspora babies, we didn't learn Chichewa because we weren't here.
Okay, so do you speak any or
I
zero?
understand and I speak badly.
All right. So there isn't even a Chichewa phrase that you can...
No, there is, but I mean, I wouldn't do it on television to be made fun of because I don't speak with a good accent and stuff like that.
Isn't
but I
it
mean,
my
like,
chance now to make fun of you?
but
Because
it's-
last time you
the
had one on
only
me.
the only use for me is to understand when people are talking bad things about me and think I don't understand.
But you do.
I do.
Okay.
But I don't, like, this is the thing is, like, if you learned when you were a kid, I spoke Chichewa until I was 6 years old. I have a child's understanding, and I'm 42. How much would you remember, really? So I don't speak a lot of it, but if I'm ever in Malawi for an extended period, I would take courses. Like, I speak French, I speak English, I speak lots of languages because I live there.
All right. Now, having performed that homecoming, which was massive, like you've said, compared to the last shows that you've done,
Yeah.
what do you think is the future for comedy in Malawi in terms of the audience and even the artists?
I think this show, which we did, shows that there's a big demand, and it shows that there is the possibility of production on a world-class level, which competes with anywhere. So I think right now it's a matter of nurturing local talent, bringing in foreign talent, which has the caliber which is essential, and also just investing in keeping the shows at that level. Because the thing is, if the next show is bad, people will stop coming. So
Yes.
you need to maintain that high level.
You decided to bring Imran.
Yes.
I'm going to have a chat with him later on
Yes.
in the program. Why?
Because I have worked with him for many years, and he always impressed me. He's one of the best comedians I've worked with, but also his content is, I feel, Malawi compatible. Right? There's some brilliant comedians I've worked with in England
Are you
where...
the one who told him about the ESCOM guys?
I
Because
told
he was
him
taking
about
ESCOMs
ESCOM.
like... I'm like,
Exactly.
Imran, how long have you been in Malawi to know about ESCOM? And then the mic is playing up. Is that ESCOM? I'm like, what's going
It's
on?
fine, but
Yeah.
comedians, we all do research of
Yeah.
the culture we're in. But
Yeah.
with Imran and with whatever comedians I bring in the future, like I'm doing BICC, and Salvador from Uganda
Yes.
is coming. Because again, Uganda and Malawi have enough common that the things he talks about resonate.
Yes.
And it's all about getting comedians who resonate and also don't offend. They're comedians who are great, but in Malawi, people wouldn't accept their comedy.
Blantyre was success.
Yes.
What should people expect from Lilongwe?
So Lilongwe is a bigger venue.
Yeah.
I've got a bigger fan base. Not bigger fan base, but I've done more shows in Lilongwe. So I think actually it has got the possibility of outshining even this one. It's a competition now.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got to be a great show.
If I watch the Blantyre show,
Yes.
should I still go to Lilongwe, or I have one, you've watched all?
No, you can still come to the other one because there'll be a few jokes which are the same, but there's also other jokes which I've been writing even just in the days between. Cash Madame has a new scandal. So there's new jokes about Cash Madame.
Cash Madam, she reached out to say that is so. Come on, man. Why are you picking up on me?
No, I've sent her invitation, come to the show.
Okay.
She must come to the show.
The
Lilongwe show.
The Cash Madam joke is going to be there as well.
But she will be in the front row, hopefully.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So look, Daddy, so it's been a pleasure chatting
been a
to you.
pleasure.
I think we spoke last week, and we also had to speak again this early part of the program, as I want to, spend a little bit of time with
Perfect.
Imran. What are your parting words?
My parting words is I'll be back I'll keep making you laugh until such a time that you are tired of laughing.
Today I'm not going to ask you to make a joke on me because last
No.
time you did, my wife
It's
was
perfect.
like, how dare you do that? So
Perfect.
I am safe for today.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that's Daliso Chaponda. He's the one who started the program, but I'm also going to be joined by Imran Yusuf after this break. So don't go anywhere. You're watching Times exclusive on Times Television TTV. The program is brought to you courtesy of Rainbow Paints.
Wow. I think K-Pitch looks amazing on that wall.
The electric blue cuts it for me.
Come on. Look at the tango, candy pink, burnt orange, okay, sweet lime.
Do you like what you see? You can dream it and live it. Download your Rainbow app today and begin the magic of transforming your home into a fabulous space. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Welcome back. You're watching Times exclusive on Times Television TTV, but the program is also on Times Radio. I started with Daliso Chaponda. I'm now joined by Imran Yusuf. Imran,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. It's
Yeah.
nice to have you in the program.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be in Malawi. It's my first time here.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to ask. Have you been to Malawi before? And this is your first time. How do you like Malawi?
Oh, I'm loving it. Like when I look out at this, when I look out at the landscape here, this
Yes.
is it's therapeutic for my mind because I don't get this view back home in London.
Yeah.
So every morning I wake up and I look at the mountains, and it's really good for me. It's food for the soul.
Yes.
And the moment that I've arrived here, I've just been met with amazing generosity and kindness from everyone, and I'm having a great time. And I wish I could stay a bit longer, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go back next week.
Exactly. It's called the land of smiling faces. You see a lot of people smiling?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
we
the time.
smile, we
Especially
smile.
when we went to yesterday, we went to the Majete
Yes.
Safari Park, and the whole experience there was great. Just made to feel welcome, and I just think there's a greater, more soulful, relaxed vibe in Malawi than
Yes.
I'm used to getting at home, where everything's a bit too fast-paced and can feel quite impersonal.
Apart from Malawi, have you traveled to other African countries?
I have. I was born in Mombasa
Yes, Kenya.
to start with, but I have performed in South Africa, in Cape Town, and in Johannesburg. And and I've visited. Obviously, went to Mombasa and Nairobi. I have a lot of family in Kenya, and I've been to Morocco, but it just feels it's slightly different to the rest of Africa. And then Malawi for the very first time.
Okay, we were supposed to start with knowing you, but
Okay.
I think along the way we got carried away. We started talking about you without having to ask who is Imran Yusuf,
Who am
because
I?
People need to know who is
Sure.
Imran Yusuf. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, who is Imran Yusuf? Well, I was like I said, I was born in Mombasa,
Yes.
Kenya. Now, so I believe my great grandparents came from India and settled in East Africa somewhere, and then my grandparents grew up in East Africa. My mum was born in Zanzibar. My dad was born in Kenya, in Mombasa. My parents and my two brothers, they lived in Uganda, and then Idi Amin came along and decided that he didn't want that anymore,
Yeah.
and threw out all the Asians. So they went to London, where they were refugees. They built a new life for themselves. Then my mum became pregnant with me, and my father was working in Saudi Arabia at that point. So in order to be around like the rest of her extended family, she went back to East Africa and gave birth to me in Mombasa.
Okay.
So I was born there, but then very quickly went straight back to London, and then I grew up in London most of my life. I spent
So
1 year
apart
in
from just born in Mombasa, that's all that connects you to Mombasa. But you
Well, that-
grew up.
I grew up in London, yeah. But my family, have come from East Africa for a few generations.
Okay.
So the Urdu/Hindi we speak have little bits of Swahili in it,
Okay.
even though I don't speak Swahili, because that's the way, whenever my parents wanted to talk about me or my brothers at home without us knowing, they would talk in Swahili,
Okay.
and we would be left out.
All
But
right.
there's just every now and then we have bits of Swahili that we use in our Urdu or Hindi at home that we're unaware of. And until I meet other Indian people, when I speak to them in what I think is Urdu or Hindi, they're like, oh, what's that word? We don't know what that word is. And then I realize, oh, that must be a Swahili word that we've adopted along the way. But yeah, I grew up in London most of my life. I spent 1 year in America when I was a kid as well.
Yeah. What was in America?
In America, well, I actually lived in America and studied in America illegally when I was a kid.
What do you mean?
Well, I went there to visit my family. I have extended family in the United States, and I was only there for like 3 weeks, but they said that I should stay there and go to school. Now, I was 12 years old, and I didn't know you can't just stay in a country and go to school. I just went, let's do it. Yeah. And then they very quickly found out that I wasn't allowed to do that. But by the time they found out and we could do anything about it, I'd finished my first year of school. And so I went back to London. Fortunately, the American government have been gracious enough to they've been quite upset and gone, you shouldn't have done that. But they're like, okay, as long as you get the right visa now, we'll let you in, but don't break the law again. So unfortunately, I was in the States earlier this year, and I had a great time in Washington DC. But yeah, like I said, I grew up in London most of my life, and that's really characterized a lot about myself. But every time I've performed in anywhere in Africa, which has been Cape Town, Johannesburg, and now Malawi, here in Blantyre, and going on to Lilongwe in a couple of days, it also feels like home. I feel like I feel that this isn't a place that's alien to me. It's a place that I feel that that I've got a connection with it, because I guess Indian people have been here for a few generations, and I like that. I'm a bit of a citizen. I have multiple passports, if you like, in terms of I can go to certain places and feel like I'm at home. Whether even in India, Singapore, and Malaysia, it's great. The comedy community in those countries, and even in South Africa and here in Malawi, you just get treated like your extended family, and I really enjoy that. I feel blessed as a result.
Okay, so born in Mombasa, then moved to London, England, then also a bit of time spent in USA. At what point did you realize that I think I'm a comedian? I think I can crack jokes. Was it family meetings, or family dinner? At what point did you realize that I think I'm funny?
Well, as a kid, I was always trying to show off and get attention. I'm the youngest of three. Okay. So
there are 3 members of your family.
Yeah, I've got 2 older brothers and there's me. So I think in order for me to get attention, I'd always have to shout and make a spectacle of myself. And I just enjoyed that. I enjoyed showing off. It was something I thought I was good at. But I didn't know what stand-up comedy was until I was about 16, 17 years old. And I saw there was a TV show, the Comedy Store TV show. The Comedy Store is like an amazing comedy club in London. Everybody wants to play there. And I saw a TV show, and I was like, wow, look, there's a place where people sit down and and a person comes on stage and tells jokes, and that's their job. And I was like, I have to do that. That's what I'm meant to do. And then years later, slowly, my first career was in video games. Okay. That was what I really wanted to do, was make video games. So I worked in the games industry for a few years. But
did you make any games?
I worked on a number of games. I worked in both publishing and in development. So you may be aware of the game Mortal Kombat, the fighting game. So I used to work for Midway Games, the big American games company who originally made Mortal Kombat. I also went on to work for Sega, who makes Sonic the Hedgehog. So I worked on Shadow the Hedgehog. I worked on Sonic Riders and on Yakuza. And then later on, I went on to Kuju, who were working with Nintendo to make Battalion Wars 2 for the Nintendo Wii. And that was great because Nintendo of Japan would come to our office in London and work with us on the game, and that felt like a huge privilege because Nintendo had the royalty of video games. And then pretty soon it became obvious to me that waking up in the morning to get on the train to be at work at 9 o'clock on the dot and be told what to do wasn't going to be for me. I want to get up later in the day, run my mouth off for a few minutes
and get paid
and travel around the world doing it. And so I've kind of transitioned into stand-up comedy, worked really hard. It was in the beginning it was very, very difficult, and but if you put effort into anything, slowly you become good enough. And also it's quite funny that apparently the word Nintendo, loosely translated from Japanese, means you can work hard, but in the end it's all in heaven's hands, all in God's hands. And I think what I've learned from that, you can work hard and you should work hard, but there's an element of luck or an element of the divine that you cannot anticipate. But if you work hard, the luckier you can get.
All right.
So, and I guess that's why I'm here. I'm very fortunate, very blessed that having known Daliso for a number of years from the comedy circuit in the UK, he was looking for a comedian to bring out to Malawi, and he thought of me, and fortunately, I'm lucky.
You were available, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to ask about the breakthrough now, because you're that young kid at 16, and you're saying, I didn't know that people sit around and somebody comes and tells a joke. It's not easy. You don't just walk in and say, I have a joke. They have to listen to you, probably audition you and say, no, you're rubbish. Dude, you're rubbish. At what point did they, I think you got that chance to say, look, this is the day, and you made it, and everybody will say, come again?
Oh, right. I think the day when I guess the industry around me went, wow, he's really good, is I was nominated as Best Newcomer at the Edinburgh Arts Festival, which is the biggest arts festival in the world, in 2010. And up until that point, people had seen me and gone, nah, whatever.
Those,
But when I got nominated for Best Newcomer, and then I also appeared on a very prestigious TV show, is Michael McIntyre's comedy roadshow, and he's like one of the best comedians in the UK, if not the world. And he was kind enough to offer me a spot on his TV show, and so through a combination of being nominated at the world's largest arts festival and appearing on Michael McIntyre's comedy roadshow, suddenly that gave me all the credibility that I needed to then to go to the next step, to be able to come to things like this, to be invited to things like this. So that breakthrough came, but before that was a lot of hard work. But before the rest of the world validates
when you talk about hard work, last time I was talking to Daddy, so he was telling me that it's about 6 hours, 9 hours of writing, and people think that probably you just go there and then you look around, you pick a joke. When you talk about hard work as Imran, what is hard work?
Hard work is being focused on your craft. Right. At first, it begins with belief. You have to believe that you can do this, and that you want to do this. That there's a lot of passion within you. That you're like, I want to be a stand-up comedian, or I want to be an athlete, or I want to be an engineer, whatever it is. You've got to have passion for it, and then you must apply yourself. The hard work is the craft, and so as a stand-up comedian, it's the writing. It's knowing how to develop jokes, and in my opinion, there's like a holy trinity to creativity, which is you need to consume a lot, watch other comedians, read a lot of books, take all that in, read the news, take in a lot of all the information of the things that you're interested in, and then you need to put in the output, which is the second part, which is write it, talk about it. And at first it won't be great, but slowly but surely it will get better. So as you write, you'll then learn, well, this bit's good, but this bit's not good. Let me cut this bit out, and until it's refined, and until you have a diamond, until you have a jewel in your hand. And then after you've been doing that over weeks, months and years, you will have enough treasures to share with the world. So it just takes time. Some people become very good at comedy very fast, and I've seen that happen. Some people are very, very fast. Most people take like a reasonable amount of time. It takes them a few years. It took me a few years, and some it may take even longer. So the hard work, I would tell to anyone, whatever you do, is to focus on your craft. And I'm lucky. I also look to athletes. I look to people like Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. And when he started playing basketball, he wasn't considered great. He didn't make his high school varsity team, and he went home and he cried. And after that point, he worked on his craft so hard that he just became excellent. He became better than the best. Okay, so in your career, you faced a lot of rejection as well, where people didn't believe in you. Oh, absolutely. And then you look back at them and you're like, yeah, absolutely. We all have to go through that in our lives. You have to believe in yourself first, and when other people don't, that becomes your crucible. You have to believe in yourself, work on your craft, and the day will come when suddenly you'll break through, and people around you didn't believe in you will go, oh my God, he actually did it. And that's true for anyone, and there's plenty of examples, especially in the world of athletes, of people who worked really hard and overcame their limitations and became really good, and the whole world turned around and went, wow. Talking about spending a lot of time writing your material, you only arrived on Saturday and the show on Sunday. How did you get to know about ESCOM and the other Malawian talks? Are you a fast learner? What are you? All right. So I've been doing stand-up for a long time, and I think one of the important things to learn as a stand-up comedian is that if you go to another town or another country specifically, it's important for you to learn about the people there. You can, if you want to, just take the jokes you do at home and do them somewhere else, but that's, in my opinion, lazy. You have to tailor it for the people that you're in front of. And I've come all the way to Malawi, so this is more than another town. It's in a whole different country with a whole different history, a whole different type of people, and I'm clearly an outsider. You can didn't hear that in the way that I speak. And I thought it would be prudent of me, it would be wise of me to find out what's happening in Malawi and what are the things. So Daliso and I had a little walk around town, and I'd ask him, what's this, what's going on. I'd ask him a bunch of questions, and he would tell me, oh, you know, we got power cuts, and Eskom is the big energy provider that's having problems supplying consistent energy. And I was like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then I saw a poster in the street for the various doctors that you have available in Malawi that can cure your marital problems or your need for a visa or exam scores. And I found this inherently funny. And I was like, right, I'll keep those in mind. And then during the show, I opened with the various doctors that you have here. People were like, oh, right, he's paid attention. He knows what's going on. And then so the moment I saw the lights go out at the back of the room, I was like, I can see Eskom have jumped into action here. And the audience really appreciated that.
All right. You're watching Times exclusive on Times Television, TV. The program is also on your radio, Times Radio. My guest in today's edition of the program is, of course, I started with Daliso Chaponda. Now I have Imran Yusuf. And the program is brought to you courtesy of Rainbow Paints. Don't go anywhere.
Wow. I think K-Pitch looks amazing on that wall.
The electric blue does it for me.
Come on. Look at the tango, candy pink, bent orange, okay, sweet lime.
Do you like what you see? You can dream it and live it. Download your Rainbow app today and begin the magic of transforming your home into a fabulous space. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Welcome back. You're watching Times exclusive on Times Television, TV, but you're also listening to the same program on Times Radio. My guest is Imran Yusuf. Welcome back, Imran.
Thank you for having me.
So, look, first time in Malawi, the show went down on Sunday. How do you feel? I mean, having done that show, the next one, of course, is in Lilongwe, but the Blantyre show, the success of the Blantyre show, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it was much more than I expected. I didn't realize there was going to be so many people, and it was such a major event for Blantyre as well. Lots of people came out to see it. It was sold out. There were loads of people turning up on the door trying to bribe the staff. to go and stand at the back of the room. And so I'm really excited to be here, where stand-up comedy seems to be in its infancy in Malawi, and I'm really excited. I've been in comedy long enough to have seen English-speaking comedy in its infancy in India, in Malaysia, in Singapore, and now English-speaking comedy in those countries has blossomed into something incredible. And I would love to see that happen in Malawi, and I hope that the next time I come here, we're going to see other local Malawian comedians coming through, doing open spots, and to share the stage with us, and then to take it on and to build their own amazing careers, because then that will allow Malawi to have a voice in the comedy world and to put Malawi on the comedy map. So, but yeah, it's exciting, and the show that we've got coming up in Lilongwe is in an amazing venue. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Talking about the budding talent, probably some Malawians, those that are still struggling, trying to say, look, I can make it in the comedy industry. What would you say to them? They have been tried, they've been rejected, but they still believe. They're passionate about this. They know they can do it.
Yes.
Probably it's just not the right time. What do you say to them?
What I'd say to any young budding Malawian comedian is that it's really important that you believe in yourself, and no matter how many rejections you get, you just keep on going. Find ways to continue to develop your creativity. Keep writing, keep reading, keep developing your jokes, and find anywhere and everywhere to be able to perform in front of an audience. So hopefully, you know, if you start up a local comedy club in a venue that's nearby your home, in your local town, get people to come and watch you and develop. Just take it from there and develop. Gig as much as you can. Watch clips of comedians that you like, especially of Daliso's stuff, so you can see how he relates himself to a broader audience, him being Malawian himself. And just keep on gigging, and it's really difficult at the start. At the start, it's so difficult, but you've got to keep on going, and eventually you'll get to a point where you'll be so good, so articulate, so funny, that you will be undeniable. Like people, maybe other places in Africa who have a more robust comedy circuit will be like, great, we'll have you on. Come and do 10 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour. But definitely do your best to develop the comedy scene here in Malawi, because as I've said, I've seen it happen in India, in Malaysia, in Singapore, where a bunch of young people got together and said, we want to do stand-up comedy. They put on small events, and slowly, over years, it became bigger and bigger and bigger, and some of them are now on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah. Look, every time you're watching comedy, issues of racism will come on. I mean, people joke about it. But now I want to ask it: is it an issue where people look at you and say, "But dude, you can't do it. You know, you're Asian, like you black,
Right.
you can't do it." You know, has that probably? Did you face any of that, or does that even happen where people look at you, just the impression that they look at you and they believe, "Never seen a funny Asian."
I'm quite lucky. The comedy scene in the UK which is where I've really grown,
So it's
has
opened up.
transformed in the
long time
last
ago.
10, 15 years massively, or 20 years to be honest, has transformed. So when I was a teenager and I was watching stand-up comedy, there were mostly white and some black comedians, mostly Caribbean, from the Caribbean, and we'd watch them and go, oh well, wow, they're doing it, so then surely I must be able to do it as well. And slowly, so before I think Asian or Indian comedians got onto the comedy circuit in the UK, black Caribbean, black African comedians had got there first, and they inspired us to go. We are also we're also from a minority. Hopefully, we can have a space here as well. And we got into that space, and lots of us did. And we started to play the comedy clubs, and then we would go to the Edinburgh Festival and do 1-hour shows. We would learn to become the host of a show. And we built up a much bigger tool set of comedy. To the point now there's lots. So in the UK, there's lots of every kind of comedian you can think about. There's, obviously white comedians, black comedians, brown comedians, comedians who are Malaysian, Chinese, Japanese, gay comedians, transgender comedians. Every type of human being you can think of is doing comedy in the UK, and that it shows the world that no matter who you are and what background you come from, whatever your story is, you're a human being. You have the ability to articulate yourself, and you can become a comedian and tell your story to the world and be funny.
Look, different artists, comedians have got different styles. Others would want to leave the best for last, that, they will say their last joke, and while everybody else is up clapping, that's how they walk out. What's your style? What is your style? How would you like to enter the stage and leave the stage? Do you have any style, or anything goes, man?
Style, it changes. When you start out comedy, when I started out comedy, I wanted to be like Chris Rock.
Okay.
That was my comedy hero. Chris Rock, at least back in the day, in like the 90s and in the early 2000s, he was like the Malcolm X of stand-up. And I was like, that's the style that I would like to emulate. That's the style I want to do. And I tried to copy that a little bit. But over time, what you find is that in stand-up comedy, you will eventually, your own voice will evolve. And so I think my style is, I like to be hard-hitting, to the point. I don't waste words with ums and ahs and how's everybody doing, and like I try not to waste too much time doing that. Let's get right into the jokes. Mike Tyson of comedy. Like
you don't spend time, no entertainment, man. Just go for the jugular.
Let's just go for it. Exactly. So I think I'd like to think that's my style, but I can adapt. Sometimes if you have an audience and they're all relaxed and they don't want you to be like this, then I relax. But if the audience is hyped and they're really excited, I get in there and do that as well.
When you get to chat with musicians, you ask them what is your favorite track that you've done, probably your own track, they will tell you. Is it the same with comedy? Like you have this joke, you tell it every time, each time, because it's so funny that it even makes you laugh.
There's many. So what happened as a comedian, unfortunately, musicians have an advantage. If you write a great song, everybody wants to listen to it forever. Forever. If you're a comedian and you have a great joke, everyone wants to listen to it. But once they've heard it a few times, the next time they see you, we want something else. So I, fortunately, because of my writing discipline, if you go onto YouTube and you watch any of my content, and please do that, it really helps. I've got over 7 million hits, but if you can get me to 100 billion, I'd appreciate that. If you watch any of my content on YouTube, you will not see me do any of that stuff live, because once I do it on television, once it's out, I drop it. Okay. Right? Or I'll do a tour and then drop it.
Yeah.
And so everything everyone saw me do here in Blantyre,
yes.
It's not recorded yet. But this is the stuff that I'm working with.
Yeah.
But one day, everything that I've done here, I will do on television.
Okay.
And after I've done that television, I stop and I write the new show.
Okay. So, back to my question. Do you have a joke that you think
You
is
want me to
so
actually tell
funny?
you a joke?
Yes, that is so funny that it makes you laugh. Even you laugh at your own
I have
joke.
many jokes like
Okay,
that.
tell me one.
I can tell you one joke.
Yeah.
So this is an old one. I'll share this one. Is that when I started out comedy, I was really upset that every time I watched the news seemingly demonized Muslim people in every sphere of life.
Are you Muslim?
Yes, I'm obviously. With a name like Imran Yusuf, you have to be Muslim.
I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that really upset me, and I got so wound up that I just thought. And often when I'd go to America, I would find that the border control people sometimes can be quite aggressive and mean if you look like this and your name is Imran Yusuf.
Yeah.
So I would joke in my head. I go, last time I went to America, the border control agent said to me, what do you think you're doing here in the United States of America? What is the nature and purpose of your business here in the United States? And I told him, well, first I'm going to kill all the natives and steal their land, and then I'm going to build the country off the back of African slaves.
Yeah.
And when they start complaining about racism, I'm going to stick them into ghettos full of guns, alcohol, and crack cocaine. But it looks like somebody's beaten me to it.
Yeah.
Right?
You wanted that.
And when I would do that joke, it would feel that there was a sense of justice in me, like I'd stuck it to this, Western American imperialism.
Rub it in their face.
Rub it in their face. To remind them that there are many crimes that the United States have committed in order to build their nation and continues to do around the world. And that's the beautiful thing about stand-up comedy. You can be political and you can say something to evoke justice in people's hearts and minds. So that's that was my first best joke.
Okay, so how sensitive are you supposed to be when you tell such jokes? Because look, black people call each other the N-word. Okay,
right.
So they'll call each other the N-word.
Right.
When you do a joke about religious,
yes,
like I think you did one where you said that maybe I have my backpack,
and
then I'll say a few phrases and boom. Don't you get people like saying, "But hey, man, you're pushing it, yeah? Don't say such things because these are sensitive things,
Well, I'm very.
You understand why
I understand what you're saying.
the N-word?
I'm very. I think it's prudent to show a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
If you say something to dehumanize a people and say that they're one-dimensional, bad people, savage people, or backwards people, that's very cruel. And comedy, in my opinion, should punch up to people who are oppressing you or people who are bullying you. So in terms of, I can't comment on the use of the N-word because I don't do that. It's not my experience. Yeah. But in terms of the joke that I did about the backpack is that I explained that in life you have to play the hand that life has dealt you. And so sometimes I understand that if somebody gives me any hassle, if someone is aggressive towards me and tries to give me trouble, then I'm not too far away from putting on a bag and saying, reciting a bit of Arabic and making them feel uncomfortable. So there I'm just being very gentle with it. I'm painting a picture in your mind and you're you're making the conclusions.
So I need to understand that metaphorically. It's not like, who knows what he thinks probably about the backpack. Something that,
So we've all got to, so I can see how that can work to my advantage. Like maybe if I want a seat on a train and there are no seats, if you have a bag and you start praying a little bit, people, they'll make a move. So I play with those ideas, and I think that's okay to do, and also that's my experience as a Muslim person who's dealt with anti-Muslim sentiment. I feel that I can do that. I'm not talking about somebody else's religious experience. It's my experience or my experience.
So you don't get in trouble with the leaders in the religious?
No. Fortunately, most of the Muslim community in the UK and even the Middle East have really supported my work because what's important is that through my comedy, I'm humanizing my community. Like every comedian who comes from a minority group, when they get up and they speak, they're humanizing their community, saying we are people, we have feelings, we're scared as well, right? We have hopes and dreams as well. And so my jokes always come from a place of like, how do I humanize my community and show the rest of the world who doesn't know anything about Muslims or Islam or Indian people that I'm just like them.
Okay. Now we're coming to close to the end of our program. Are there any regrets in this career? In your case, like, well, maybe I've continued with my video development career. Do you have any regrets being a stand-up comedian?
I would say no, and I think part of that is down to I'm 42 now, so I'm a bit older. I feel that life begins in your 40s, because when you're 18, 20, you're technically adult, but really you're an idiot, because you're just a child with the license of an adult. You have no adult experience. But by the time you get into your 40s, you've had 20 years worth of adult experience, and you've made mistakes. And if you asked me, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, maybe this regret, maybe that regret. But now I'm like, no, I appreciate how life is unfolding for me. And you can always look back and go, I regret this, I regret that, but I don't. I appreciate what each day brings, and all the things that I didn't get, all the bad things that happened help shape me who I've become today. And who I am today is a much more grateful person. And ultimately, that's the ultimate wealth. There is no wealth without gratitude. And no matter how much money you've got, if you're not grateful, truly grateful from here, you're never truly wealthy. And so it's brought me here. So I have no regrets, only gratitude.
All right. Tell us about the Lilongwe show. What should people expect from Imran?
Oh, from the Lilongwe show, a little bit more localized material since I've been here a few more days. Yeah, more ESCOM stuff. Hopefully they can keep the power running. And let's see what the doctors in Lilongwe can offer. I mean, over here it's quite broad. The doctors in Blantyre can offer you anything. Yeah, visas. So maybe the doctors in Lilongwe can get you take you to Mars.
Yeah, they bring back lovers, lost lovers.
Lost lovers. Well, until you learn to love yourself, there's no point waiting on a lost lover. You need to truly love and appreciate yourself. So that's the magic trick. You don't need to go and see Dr. Aziz now. Okay. Just take that example.
All right, so your parting words, what would you say to your audience, those people that probably didn't know you, they've seen the Blantyre show, now they become your fans? What else do they expect? You plan to come back to Malawi? What is it that you want to say as we're coming to the end of the program?
Well, thank you very much for having me in Malawi. I'm very grateful for Daliso for being so generous, for bringing me out here. I would love to come back to Malawi and to perform here more often. Parting words is that for those of you who want to be comedians or want to be anything in your life, remember first you've got to believe in yourself and then work hard on your craft. And that's the magic formula, is to be, believe in yourself, have passion, work hard on your craft and become truly excellent at it, just like Michael Jordan did in basketball, or the many athletes that we look around and see how excellent they've become. And good luck with it. And remember that Nintendo means you can work hard, but in the end it's all in heaven's hands. So be grateful for what you got and try to smile every day.
Thank you very much, Imran.
Thank you.
Imran Yusuf, bringing us to the end of today's edition of the program. Earlier on, I had Daliso in the same program. The two are also going to have another show in Lilongwe, which you don't want to miss because of the success of the Blantyre show. My name is Wonder Msisia, on behalf of the technical expertise provided by Kondwani Mohone and David Masea, and on behalf of our sponsors, Rainbow Paints, until next time, goodbye.